What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. After Sound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here in this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning, so come by and say hello. All right, guys, well, we have the upcoming The Great Burning event, which is going to hopefully burn a ton of DEC. But one thing that I forgot to put in my kind of like official prediction video for DEC a couple of days ago, one thing I forgot to factor in was the amount of DECB that is still in circulation. So keep in mind, we did print or mint all 2 billion DECB, but you can see here on Peak Monster, shout out to Jarvie and the Peak Monsters team, in the null wallet, we already have over 1.6 billion burned. So that means we have less than 400 million. And when I think about how much we were planning to burn, I think I said like 300 million. So we could burn, you know, all DECB and then still not, you know, and do more than what I anticipated, getting from like 5.1 billion down to like 4.8 billion. And still not, and nothing would be impacted, right? Because DECB exists kind of in its own parallel thing. It's not actually in circulation because it's not a tradable token. It is soulbound, but people can still get the benefits for it. Now, I'm planning on burning my DECB. I only have like 20,000 of it, but that's something that I can easily burn on day one. But one thing that I wanted to call out here, which somebody had pointed out to me on a recent live stream, is look at who is near the top. And this is not to necessarily call anyone out specifically, but you have Vugtis, for example, who I think is one of the largest, if not the largest SPS holder in the game with 63 million DECB. You have Yabba Matt, who has 29 million. And then you can see there's a couple other, you know, recognizable names here. But my point with this is not necessarily to say like who has it, but what these people do with their DECB. So specifically, someone had mentioned that they're going to watch Matt's DECB balance, because if he decides to spend all of it on this upcoming event and giveaway and great burning, then that may signal that there's not a lot of DECB utility coming in the future, which I don't think is actually a problem. I mean, I would love to get DECB done and over with. I think it was an interesting experiment that had moderate to little success. It was a good idea and I supported it at the time, but unfortunately it didn't really bring anything forward the way that we were hoping for, right? It didn't. And if you think about it, it was just 2 months. If we had just waited 2 months, we probably could have burned a little bit more DEC rather than implementing it in early February and then having the first week of April be when land surveying or land phase 1.0 actually went live. So at this point, I'm totally cool if we just go through and everybody burns everything else that they have, because then we don't need to account for that anymore in the future. Do I think that's going to happen? Not necessarily, and I'll tell you why. Because people probably got a good deal on this DECB and they don't mind sitting on it because it's still like a 20-ish% gain. Whereas you can go and buy DEC on the market right now and it's still at a 20+% discount from PEG. Now, will the Great Burning event actually get us all the way back to PEG? Again, I have my doubts about that. I would love to see it happen, but I'm just much more reserved and cautiously optimistic than anything, just because we haven't really seen anything work effectively. And when I say that, this isn't me throwing shade at the team or the actions that have been taken or even like the DAO, right? Because we've tried to ask for certain things to be implemented that have been implemented, and it just hasn't come through. So part of me is just like, we need to wait for a macro wave to actually come in and push all tides higher versus just trying to tweak things here and there. Now, that being said, I still think it's important for those tweaks to be made, because when that wave does come in, we want to make sure we're in a good spot, the tokenomics are right, the incentive structures are aligned, and that there's no exploits available for people to come in and take advantage of. But that being said, we may have to wait a little bit longer. So I would love to be pleasantly surprised, to be proven wrong, and for us to burn way more than 300 million DEC. But my question for you guys is, and somebody brought this up in a comment on the previous video, what is that inflection point? I think it was Level Up Life, so shout out to Level Up Life. What is the inflection point at which we see DEC from a circulating supply standpoint? So I'm looking here now, right? actually, this is not great because they are still including the null wallet. Come on, Peak Monsters. We're going to go over to Splinter Cards, and you can see here that 5.1 billion, right? What will be the inflection point in which we will see DEC not drop down in supply any further, but actually reach an equilibrium and then start to go up because people realize that they need it to stake for land. And keep in mind, if all land is utilized in a maximized manner, meaning they have maxed monsters, all 150,000 plots, that's 7.5 billion DEC, of which we are, a couple and a half billion short, even at this point. So we're trying to burn DEC, even though we're going to need more in the future. So I do expect it to go down with the Great Burning event, but only to a certain extent. So that's my question for you guys. Where do you think we see that bounce happen? And of course, so much of that depends on when land actually comes out. If it comes out in the middle of the Great Burning, if it comes out after the Great Burning, obviously we don't really know all of the details yet. We don't know the details for land, but we know that the Great Burning is going to last for 30 days, starting at the end of May, going to the end of June. So that's all I have for you guys in this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I will catch you all in the next one and see you around the game. Take care.